I said I was gonna do some stuff on bullying and how I've been dealing with having a brother that's special needs, and so I thought I'd do a bit of a video on just what it's like to be bullied and sort of how I've grown up dealing with that, and some mistakes I realized that I made with myself now that I know that I needed to use to get through my elementary years, as hard as they are on me now, because I have in some ways almost no idea how to deal with certain social situations, because I did not interact with kids my age, because at school I was the target, and if you hung out with me or even talked to me, pretty much, unless it was to tease me or to try and make me look like an idiot, you were automatically considered a target. So I had close to no people to talk to that were my age. So I often talk to adults, and I'm friends with a lot more adults than I am with kids. But yeah, when I was in grade 2, I had the idea that everyone was good and that no one wanted to do me any harm. And I trusted everyone, which probably was not a very good idea. But then again, I was kind of young and very naive and had no idea what the world was like. So I trusted everyone, which was not a good idea. But I found that when I moved schools, because my school that I went to when I first moved here was shut down after I'd gone there since kindergarten, and so I went to that school for a couple of years, and then that school shut down, so I had to move to the elementary I went to from grades 2 to 7, which is where I got bullied all the time. And when I first started getting bullied, it really hurt, because I was not used to that sort of negative commentary on me, or just people being so mean. And so I would cry and I'd tell the teacher, and they saw how much it hurt me, and they got a pretty good reaction out of me, so it just escalated even more and more and more, to the point of I would come home some days and I would cry as soon as I got in the door, because I had had such a bad day, or I had been bullied so much that I couldn't take it anymore, and I got so emotional that I would cry. And after a year of that, it took me about a year to figure out that I was going to need to change. And so in that year, I did a lot of changing. And I went from being a very happy, naive person that thought everyone was good, to being a person that had walled herself in, to the point of I couldn't really feel any emotion. The only emotions I can ever remember feeling were hate, regret, dislike, depression every once in a while, anger, and I can't really remember any time during most of my elementary years that I was ever truly happy and ever felt like I loved someone or something. I can't remember it. If it happened, it was obviously not very significant, because I can't remember anything of it. But I can remember hating the school and hating the people in it and hating the teachers and hating my parents every once in a while, because they'd talk to the principal when I'd come home crying, and then the principal would talk to the teacher, and the teacher would talk to the kids, and then the kids got even more mean and aggressive with their bullying, and even more sly, so that the teacher wouldn't notice it. And it was really hard on me, because I would tell my mom not to tell anyone, and she'd tell the principal, and then the principal would tell the teacher, and the teacher told the kids. And so that was not at all very helpful. And by the end of grade 4, I guess it was, I had built such a thick wall around me that I had pretty much forgotten how to cry. I don't think I cried between grades 3 and probably about grade 6 or 7. I wouldn't cry. I couldn't remember how. I became very emotionless, so I would get insulted so much sometimes, and I would feel nothing, at least on the outside. Like, it just looked like the insults would bounce off me, and it just got to the point of people decided that, okay, well, if we can't get her emotionally, let's go get her physically. And so they would start getting into fights with me. And that was in about grade 4. And, well, being where I am, where we live, it's kind of rough, and our house is heated by wood stove. We have no furnace or anything like that, so my dad has had me splitting wood since about grade 4. And so I've got pretty strong arms, and we've got a family friend who is really good with martial arts, and so he'd been teaching me a little bit about fighting and that sort of thing, just for something to do, because he was the one that got me started on fishing and knives as well. So he was also the one to teach me how to throw a punch properly and how to kick and how to block and that sort of thing. And so people would come up to me and they'd try and throw a punch, or they'd try and body slam me into a wall or something like that. And I can't actually ever remember punching someone, but I would get them down on the ground, or they would not hit me, and then I would just walk away like nothing happened. And it scared a lot of kids because I was very emotionless about it. Like I said, I had close to no emotions that I can remember feeling, except for hate, regret, and whatever else. And well, like during a fight, I would not smile, and I just remained blank in the face pretty much, and I would just walk away like nothing happened. And then the same thing would happen sometimes the next day, and then maybe they'd stop for a little bit, and I just kept on splitting wood at home because our house needed to be kept warm in the winter and in the spring and fall, and some part of the summer as well, because Canada's kind of, well, cold or wet and damp, and we don't really have the nicest weather all the time. And so I just kept on getting a bit stronger and stronger and stronger because of splitting wood and having to wield an axe, and that was that. And it just got to the point of, I can remember getting into fights every year from grade 4 to grade 7. And in grade 5 they got a little bit more smart, and they would come at me in groups or try and corner me or something like that so that I couldn't run. Because I had, well, even if they hadn't gotten me cornered, I don't run. I refuse to start a fight, but if someone brings a fight, I'm not about to back away or back down. And so I would not hit them, but I would block, and sometimes I'd trip them or sweep their legs out from underneath them, and they'd end up on the ground, but I can never remember punching someone. And it was probably in grade 5 that they found out about my brother being my brother, and so I was having to not only deal with me being bullied because of being different, because I'm not really sure what it was, but I was just different than all the other girls. So I got bullied about that, and I can remember getting bullied because my parents were together, and they still are, and almost everyone else's parents were separated, and so it was just really weird that way, because to be bullied because your parents aren't separated is kind of silly. But yeah, in the next part I'll talk a little bit about grades 6 and 7, I guess. So yeah.